everyone. I'm Wyatt's favorite fister, and I'm going to give a sideable catch on him. For those of you that don't speak Wyatt, his favorite thing to do is to switch the first two letters of two words. So to translate, good morning everyone, I'm Wyatt's favorite sister, and I'm going to give a life sketch on him. Wyatt was born March 13th, 2001, and from a little kid he was always making us laugh. I remember when he was potty training, he came out of the bathroom and he said, "I did it, Mom." And like my mom went in there and was like, "Okay, let's see. And I'll make sure you really did," because he would get treats. She went in there and she's like, "I don't see anything, bud." And he goes, "I eat a poo-poo." My mom freaked out. She was like, "Wyatt, you can't do that. That's so gross. That's bad for you." Freaking out. And he just starts laughing and goes, "I'm just kidding." So he was making us laugh from an early age. He was always a very outgoing kid. He would find the person that he knew the least in the room and would go sit on their lap no matter how uncomfortable that made them. He would sit on them, look at them, try and talk to them. It was always so fascinating to see who he would choose to sit with because it was always a random person. As he got older, he developed this really weird habit of sniffing people, and still not really sure what that was. We'd always be like, "What? Stop it!" Like, just come up to you and sniff you. And then for some reason that evolved into pinching people, any loose skin. He would grab your elbows or under your chin, it's horrible. But I think he understood that he wasn't supposed to, because when he was a little kid, he was walking with his cousin Taylor, and they were with one of my older cousins, and Taylor asked, "Why are your legs so big?" And Wyatt goes, "Taylor, you don't say that to girls." And he was 5 years old, so he knew at a young age, he was aware, and he had a kind spirit. I remember another funny story. Wyatt was very much like an artist. If any of you have been into his room, he liked abstract things. He liked to draw. He loved to take pictures, as you guys have probably seen on his Facebook. But one time we were in Disney World, and there's this area where you can, they teach you how to draw characters. And we were drawing one in the pool, and they start out really can you draw a circle, and then it turns into something. And I remember sitting by Wyatt, and he would draw his circle, and he'd be like, "Oh," because it wasn't perfect, right? And I'm like, "Wyatt, honestly, you're doing way better than Riley. Don't even worry about it." And he just got so mad. When he was done, it was honestly not bad at all, but he was just so frustrated because he could see where he had messed up, and I remember he threw it away. And Carter and I are like, "Let's get it out of the trash." So we got it out of the trash, and I remember he was walking a couple paces in front with my mom, and Carter and I are looking at it, just kind of laughing because he was so mad because we were comparing ours, and we're like, "It's honestly not bad at all." And I remember he turns around and he sees Carter and I have this piece of paper, and he just runs full charge at us, takes the paper, starts hitting us. So we can't even stop him because we're laughing so hard. We weren't always the nicest, but then later, he finally destroyed his somehow. And later Riley took his and wrote Wyatt Smith on it. Which he didn't love that either. But I remember a month ago we were just laughing about that, so I want to share that story. He was also a very honest kid. He would play hide and go seek, and I would just walk into a room and go, "I see you, Wyatt," and he'd appear under from out under these clothes in a box in the closet, and he'd be like, "Dang it!" Didn't even see him, man. So that was always hilarious to play with him. He was always very helpful. I remember one time my cousin's car broke down, overheated or something, and they were on the side of the road, and car after car after car kept stopping. An unusual amount of people were stopping. And after 10 cars, they're like, "Are you guys okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, we called someone, just overheated, we're cooling it down." And they're sitting there with the hood up. And they're like, "Okay, well then you should probably tell that kid to stop waving his shirt out the window." They're like, What are you doing?" Just always trying to be helpful, always trying to be involved. He's always a very generous kid. I think a lot of people would know why it is that. Every time we'd go to EFY, which stands for Especially for Youth, it's a church camp my parents would send us down to Utah to go to. And my dad would always give us a chunk of change just to like buy food or whatever we wanted. And most of us at the end of the week, if we still had some, it was like, sweet, gotta keep $20. But Wyatt, I remember like he bought me a stuffed animal, and he bought his counselor a gift, and he like bought a card for the kids in the company to sign. So he wasn't like, it's about me or suck up, but he wanted everyone to be a part of that. And he was just very kind and loving. I remember I was reading his EFY journal. It said, I gave a kid $5 to get a slushie, and then somebody saw and bought one for me. And that just like defines Wyatt. Just a very loving kid and giving kid. As I've kind of been going through all of the like thousands of posts and comments that people have been leaving, I see a lot of, I wish you knew how loved you were, or I wish there was something I could have done, or why. And he did leave a note, and he kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to try and explain why I think it happened. I think right now, for me at least, like some of my most favorite people are here, and it's been a tough week, but we've done a lot of fun things as a family. But at the end of the day, something's off, and I think it's kind of how Wyatt felt. It wasn't a lack of people loving him, or he didn't feel like, he never felt like he was alone or that people didn't love him. He just felt like something was off, and he talked about how he attributed why he did this to his grades. He said, if I can't get good grades and make it here, then I'm not going to make it, and like, what's the point? And I think it was something a lot more than that, but it was just this feeling of something's off. And the problem was he knew how many people loved him, and it wasn't changing. And so I don't want anyone to feel like I wish I would have loved him more, or something like that. I don't think that was the problem. He knew how loved he was, and he didn't want to burden somebody with how he was feeling, because his favorite thing was just to make people happy and to make people feel loved. But the thing that Wyatt didn't realize is that things get better, that there is like hope and there's happiness ahead. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but my family's actually already lost a brother, Fletcher, when he was about 1.5. And I was only like 5 or 6, so I don't remember as well, but I definitely remember the sadness and the pain. And I think my parents are going through a lot of the same things right now, but I think about the past 20 years and like all of the experiences I've had in the past 20 years, and how many good memories I've had, and how many amazing people have come into my life. And so I know that's going to happen again, even though right now it feels like hard to move on, or how am I going to do this? I know that there's so much good that's going to come, and I just kind of look at it like we have two choices right now. I have a choice to be angry and frustrated and why me, or we have the choice to be like, I'm so grateful that I got him for those couple of years. And I know that, he said in his note, I don't want to cause anyone pain. I don't want to make anybody sad. And I know that that's true. And today, I know me and the rest of my family, we really want to make this day about Wyatt. And so I think everyone wants to do stuff, and the most comforting thing is just to tell us what you knew about him, tell us what you loved about him. Like, I know I don't want it to be about me, like I'd rather hear about Wyatt. So if you guys have stories, like come find us, come share it with us, like that's what we want to know, that's what we want to hear. I also just want to read a quick scripture. This is in the Book of Mormon. It's in Alma, Alma 41:3. And it says, and it is requisite with the justice of God that men should be judged according to their works. And if their works were good in this life, and the desires of their hearts were good, that they should also, at the last day, be restored to that which is good. I know that Wyatt was good, and that he's going to be okay. And that we're going to see him again. For those of you that don't know if you're going to see him again, I know that you will see him again. I promise. And I think that's pretty neat. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.